New World Order to everybody. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a second, but that's my new comment to everybody. When I see them now and I know that they're a patriot or I know that they're tuned into what's going on, I say, Happy New World Order. I actually got a couple of call service people today laughing about it. And I said, I'm not saying Happy New Year anymore. I'm saying Happy New World Order to you, and being, jovial about it, just on the upper side. And it's amazing the responses you get. I'm Guy Annable, and this is the Capital Voice on blasttheradio.com and on YouTube and on as well. Oh, well, no, Facebook. Yeah, Facebook's kind of deplatformed. Maybe we're going to talk a little bit about that after we bring in a great patriot here. I have known her for over 15 years, I think. My God, that ages us. And we're going to talk to a great patriot from Embrun. Beth is going to join us on the line with her view on what's going on, the next move with the United States is going to make, and the chess game that is going on right now in the United States, and get her views and what she's seen and what she's been researching as a person who is definitely woke, but I won't say that to her. She'll probably get mad if I call her woke. So I'll start off with that. Beth, how are you doing?
Hi, Guy, and I actually take no harm in calling me woke. One
but
of my
you are woke.
Online shows is the Woke Society.
Absolutely.
So I've been woke for a while now.
And Beth, I want to thank you for your time today. Take it, and again, people can join in the conversation after Beth is on her way. But we really wanted to showcase Beth today, and we had a conversation a couple of days ago just to frame it up for people, Beth, and talking, and I think everybody is, about after the impeachment, this whole progression that we're seeing from the progressives down in the States after the impeachment, and 10 Republicans turned coat colors and voted for the impeachment under the 25th Amendment of Donald J. Trump. So on your side, Beth, you've been at this a long time. I'm going to let you open up and just talk about a little bit about the last 10 or 12 years. And I want to give credit, because the reason I brought Beth on is she was one of the first people to hammer down my throat the Agenda 21 UN 12, 13 years ago. And I said, Beth, I don't know if I believe all that stuff. That was 12, 13 years ago.
That was in 2006. And that was right around the time that I got woke. And it was thanks to Glenn Beck doing a big program highlighting the Fabians.
14 years.
And I did some research into the Fabians. And once you connect the dots with the fact that Fabians were the ones that founded the League of Nations, which became the United Nations, and we all know how lovely they are.
Yeah.
When you learn that they're the ones that founded the World Court in The Hague, and they're also the ones that founded the London School of Economics, to which both Pierre Trudeau and George Soros attended in 1948.
Wow.
And Christine McKenna, our former environmental minister, she's also went to the London School of Economics. And once you study the Fabians and see what a bunch of pedophiles and perverts and that they are, and go down the rabbit hole, you might say, it's a difficult awakening, but once you understand what's going on, what's happening now, it had to happen. People have to see how deep the swamp is, how deep the rabbit hole is.
So it took them that long. This whole thing started around 1948 in the birthplace of the London School of Economics, and you feel that a lot of people like George Soros and Pierre Trudeau were educated through that school of thought, and that's
the
why we're here
Hegelian
today.
Dialectic is also what they've been taught over at Oxford, and the what's the one in Germany? There's a school, Frankfurt, the school there. This is all dealing with what we're facing today. It's all a bunch of Marxist, communist agenda. That's called Agenda 21, and Glenn Beck actually wrote a book with a Democrat former Democrat politician, called Agenda 21 way back in around 2006. And when I bought that novel and read it, I just like, oh my God. And it's all about justifying your existence. If you are costing society more than you're producing, you're of no use to yourself, much less to societies, and therefore they would find a humane way of putting you out of your existence. And that's why they founded the gas that was used in the Nazi chamber camps. And you follow the Nazis. How many Nazis were charged after what happened in World War II? Not very freaking many. In fact, most of them, you do some research and you'll see a lot of them went to Argentina, South American countries, and many went to the United States, and many were part of NASA.
Yeah, and also, obviously, Robert Oppenheimer's experiment and the extraction of key Nazi scientists out of that whole group of people in the post-war, for sure.
Well, so, and if I also read, I think one of the novels that hit me the hardest when I was doing this research on eugenics, and it was called The War Against the Weak by Edwin Black, and I encourage everyone to read that. Because once you read that, you see, oh my gosh, this is where we're heading. Why are we doing this?
What's the name of that and the author again, please, Beth?
War Against the Weak.
Yes.
By Edwin Black.
Edwin Black. I have heard of that. I have not read it myself. Continue.
Yeah, it's a very moving, and it's all based on fact. It really happened, and it was in the early 1900s before they ever got rid of eugenics in Canada.
Right.
And so we,
Well, let's take it back a bit further. Let's go back to 1911 and Benito Mussolini and the fascists' playbook. We can even go back to the original writings of Lenin and Marx. But when you look at, and one of the most outstanding documentaries I've ever seen was the BBC one on the Dictator's Playbook, episode 3, available on tvo.org. I highly encourage people to do some research on that, because if you really look at the exact methodology and time progression that Benito Mussolini took when he came to power and took over Parliament in the early 20s and pitted people against each other and controlled the media, the Dictator's Playbook is exactly what Justin Trudeau is doing today. So I do encourage anybody who's watching, and any comments towards that, because I think you've seen it as well, Beth. But it goes back. Hitler used the same methodology, but really Mussolini invented it before even Stalin had his own country.
Lenin progressed it even further.
Yeah. So 4 years of Joe Biden, or
Joe Biden will never be president.
So let's fast forward. Let's go from history to the next week, and we'll go to Futurecast here, Beth. We talked the other night, and I'm going to bring it up to you again because we don't differ on opinion on this, but basically it is a big chess game. And after the impeachment of Donald J. Trump, we're now seeing the calm before the storm comment being pictured with all the military advisors and all the troops being loaded in to tell us what you think's going to happen in the next 6 days, Beth.
Why has Kamala Harris not resigned her Senate seat yet? If she's going to become vice president in a few days, why has she not yet resigned her Senate seat?
Okay, good point. But what do you think's going to happen, Beth, in the next 6 days? You just say Joe Biden will not become president.
There's already arrests going on. Where's Nancy Pelosi? She hasn't shown up for Congress for the past 3 or 4 sessions.
And she has marshals
ever since her laptop was taken by the military. And on that laptop, I'm sure they have found much evidence, which is why they're freaking out and trying to get him, the thing against Trump.
I've heard those narratives on the internet. Yeah, and I do subscribe to some of them.
Absolutely. And when these narratives are coming from people like Lynn Wood, Donald Trump's lawyer, and he is the one, he's one of the people I get so much of my information done from, that confirms what I've been saying for a couple of years because I followed Q and QAnon. And what has been said, why do you think they're erasing everything that Q and QAnon say Why are they so afraid of it? Why do they have to erase it? Why is there no longer any free speech on the internet? Because it's exposing all that's going on.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump has just released all the sealed papers for in regards to Obamagate.
Yeah.
He's also he has just released all the information for Russia.
So it really comes down to it's really a three-dimensional chess game, because you've got big tech on one plateau, you've got the government and military on the other plateau, and then you've got the social media on the third plateau. It's really like a three-dimensional chess game, and we're on the bottom, of course.
Do you know that there's 1,951 sealed indictments that are what people are going to, that is an incredible 195,000 people are going to be rounded up. No wonder they were expanding Gitmo.
But those were unsealed. Those were unsealed months ago. Why haven't they been acted on?
Oh, it takes a while to make all these arrests, eh? And they're not just local in the United States. These are worldwide arrests. That's why there have been blackouts in Lebanon. There have been blackouts in Italy, as people are being rounded up. When you hear a place that's gone black, that they're rounding up those people.
So the pictures we saw from Italy were actually confirmed. I believe you saw the same pictures of that minister in Italy being rounded up.
The prime minister, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So those have been validated. Those have been validated. So you also feel that the Pope has been arrested?
I do.
You do? Well,
yes.
I don't know if I subscribe to that. Beth. I'm wondering. I'm worried. I'm very, very anxious right now.
Well, you should do a little bit more research.
Yeah, no, and this is why I wanted to have you on, because I think what you've got to share, and again, this goes down in history. If in 5 days, Beth, if in 5 days what you're saying is true, you nailed it, and you are again using your free speech, and I totally appreciate that, because you are entitled to that.
Yeah. So back in 2018, Donald Trump put out an emergency act in regards to voter fraud. So back in 2018, Donald Trump knew dang well there was voter fraud that happens.
Right.
I myself know, I have witnessed it just in the last federal election.
Absolutely.
I was there
There's no doubt.
vote at 9 o'clock in the morning, and 3 people in my lineup had already been told they'd already voted, and myself. They told me I'd already voted, and no, I didn't. This is at 9 o'clock on voting day. I've supposed
in your provincial in the most recent provincial Ontario election.
Well, one of the provincial elections that I worked there, we recorded 3,200 voting irregularities and sent it into Elections Ontario, and they said, "Oh well, so sad, too bad, nothing to do here." Yeah. You know, I know and have heard horror tales about election fraud that has happened in my own little rural community here.
Yeah. So you've told me that years ago too. You told me that you would never participate again in an election that uses an electronic counting system. And I didn't believe you back then, but I believe you now again too, Beth. And
do you remember when I organized one of the sessions for Canadians for Language Fairness in VARS there, and we had I talked about Skidle, which was George Soros' voting machines. This is Skidle, now they're Dominion. They're all done through Canada in Toronto. Do not think that there's going to be some repercussions against Canada eventually coming from the United States. And it's all through China as well. Yeah. I mean, some of the parts are from Chinese, for Pete's sake. Mm-hmm. I've been warning about electronic voting for over a decade.
Well, when you see the people behind it now, and again, you see that third level of chess being played with the social media with regards to all this information coming out, no wonder they're shutting down social media, because they don't want us to know the truth. And what you're doing opens up so many rabbit holes, Beth. And again, I commend you for you being for years being ahead of the curve on all this stuff, and me maybe not 100% believing most of it, but all of it is coming true. And this is why I wanted to have you on.
It's funny you say that, because our eldest daughter dropped in this afternoon, and she's now in her early 40s, and she was saying, "Mom, you were so right. When we were growing up, you've been warning us that this is going to happen to our children. And you're right. It's happening.
Yep. at an incredible velocity too now, Beth. Now that this election has been stolen, and now that we're seeing,
it hasn't been.
Well, Donald it has been
Trump
stolen.
Is a 3D chess player. Donald Trump and the military.
Let's talk about that. Hold on.
Yeah.
So you think next week the military is going to make a 180-degree about face turn and diametrically oppose against the inauguration of Joseph R. Biden, and the military is going to invoke martial law under a Donald Trump?
Why do you think all?
No, I ask you because those are the only two scenarios that can happen, Beth. And this is where I'm terribly worried.
Joe Biden and his whole family will be arrested because they have all the evidence on them selling out United States information to Chinese. They've got it all.
The Bobolinsky file that never got covered.
What do you think they did with Hunter Biden's and his partner's laptop? I mean, they've got it all. They've got Jeffrey Epstein, which connects to the Bidens as well. They are mafia.
But Beth, if that happens, the left goes wild, and every Democratic city in the United States starts to burn.
Guys, the only reason the left goes wild is because the mainstream media the mainstream media purveys that image that the left is going wild. But seriously, if you're not plugged into the mainstream media, nothing's going wild. You go online, you watch what you want. You're not being fed this pile of horse manure and garbage that every commercial runs about something. A big part of the problem is the media. And the media is being exposed.
Again, the fascist playbook. Exactly what Benito Mussolini did in 1921 when he took over La Pravda.
Absolutely.
And he was a journalist himself formerly. So, you look at Stéphane Guilbeault and the statements that he's making in the new year after the Capitol Hill incident. And those are scary, dangerous comments that our Minister of Heritage is making. Those are past dystopian. Those are fascist comments that we are going to be shut down for freedom of speech if we do not share the groupthink. And if you and I have a conversation like we are right now, we are inciting heretic things on Canada because we are not going along with the mainstream.
And here I was spokesperson for Canadians for Language Fairness for over a decade, fighting for the right for people to be able to say what they want to say.
Yes.
And look what's happening. And I'm also very active in the local landowners association, and they're going to be coming for our property if we don't smarten up and realize how bad communism and Marxism is. It is not something good, but our children are being taught that communism is the way to go. My grandchildren are saying that we're wrong, that they're right, that communism is the way to go because their heads have been filled with garbage.
In the schools, exactly. And what did Abraham Lincoln said? He goes, what you teach to one generation happens the next generation.
Or whoever is in power he said controls
that. There's a few really Marshall McLuhan, that's for sure. But there's a few really good political quotes on that. And I think even going back to Reagan and going back to the 70s, this has been going on for decades.
Reagan and John F. Kennedy both have excellent speeches that people should listen to. And that's what I totally encourage people. Don't believe what I say. Go do your own research. It's harder to find now because they're wiping so much.
They are.
But you can still go on YouTube to places like the Epoch Time or Crossroads or Patriot Hour. Like there's different ones that you can watch online, or go search for Lynn Wood or Sidney Powell and hear what they have to say, or Donald J. Trump. If you Google them and listen to them, what they have directly, cut out the mainstream media's filter of their garbage.
Oh, garbage. Now,
you have to listen because.
And what really resonates for me too is that speech from John F. Kennedy when he talked about the secret societies. That's been revolving in my head for weeks, Beth, since this whole thing's happening. And we're back to that again. We're back to the military-industrial type complex and the secret societies. And as you say, they're all at the table. Now who's gonna reign? Who's going to rule? Who's going to rule? Yeah. Who is going to rule? And what the antithesis of my conversation I wanted to have with you today was to get you on the record to tell me about what you think is going to happen since your daughter comes in and says you've been, and since I've been saying the same thing, that you normally and usually get it right. And just for you to tell your story, because we're going to skate where the puck's going in 6-7 days. And I wanted it on the record that Beth, who I consider an incredibly well-versed, well-researched patriot, who's out at every landowners meeting, who conducts meetings with the Canadians for Language Fairness, and who's been doing so for 12 years, to go on the record to say what's going to happen next week. And I'm really, really glad to have gotten your points about going back to eugenics, about going back to the League of Nations in 1948. But
it's not about Democrats against Republicans or liberals against conservatives. It's about good against evil. This is a battle between good and evil, because there's nothing good about what they want to do to Canada and America. Like, Canada is so far gone. Like, who do we even have to replace anyone if we drain the swamp? Mm-hmm. But I do believe that over the course of the next few days, you will be getting messages on the emergency broadcast system, and things will start rolling, and the evidence will start being played out for you to be able to witness. Because, of course, any message that the president tries to put out, the mainstream media and the other forms of communication are all trying to block him out. So the military does have access to a system where they can broadcast worldwide the message that they want to put out. And I do believe we'll be getting into that. We'll be hearing that definitely before the 20th. And I do believe that every member of the Biden family will be arrested, the Clintons as well, the Obamas as well. And much more. People are going to learn that there's links to child and human trafficking, that it's a really sick scenario, and it's all linked to Jeffrey Epstein and the Lolita Express, and do you know that Joe Biden has an island right by Jeffrey Epstein?
Beth, nothing is beyond the possible comprehension of the world I'm currently living in.
And Ghislaine Maxwell has a submarine license. She does.
Oh my God, Beth.
Yeah. You start doing research into these people, and you see the connections. And it's down to battle betwing good and evil. Make sure you're in good with the Lord, I tell you.
I totally agree. Beth, on that note, coming up to 7:23, 5:23 on the hour, Eastern Standard Time. Exactly, 5:23 on the hour. We were supposed to start at 4:00, and Beth and I started a bit late because I'm going to talk about my virtual doctor visit after the commercials and everything else. But since my phone isn't charged and I can't play commercials, we'll have to talk about sponsors. But Beth, I want to thank you again and ask you for a quick invite back on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Does that sound reasonable?
I wouldn't mind that at all.
Okay. Again, Beth, anybody who knows the voice, anybody who knows the organizations, Canadians for Language Fairness, the Ontario Landowners Association, knows who this woman is. She has a great deal of credibility in my books, and I encourage you, the listener, also to check out a lot of the things you're not hearing, and especially what you're not hearing in the mainstream media. I'm Guy Annable. This is the Capital Voice, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes with your calls and taking it up to 5:30 before we all have our lockdown dinner. Beth, thanks again for everything.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure.
And the pleasure was all ours. And thank you for spreading the news for as long as we can, Beth.
Yeah, as long as we can. We can only do what we can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Give my
best. Thanks, Guy.
Okay. Bye, John.
Bye.
Bye, Beth. Give my best to John, eh? Okay. Coming up on 5:24 after the hour, the lines are now open, and as well, we've got some messages coming up here, but I can't access the messages because I have not upgraded to the next realm of Restream because I'm poor, and I'm not going to pay $40 a month to see my comments, but we'll see what we've got. Couple of points. Again, Peter's back. Thank you. Good to see Harbor Grace, Newfoundland in the house, Peter Yetman. And I think, as I say, that it's still live. It's going on and off, but we'll see how long we have internet connectivity, folks. We'll see how long we have the ability to stream live videos on Facebook. I will be moving to other platforms like Twitch and Rumble and my YouTube channel, The Capital Voice, if everything goes dark. Twitter's I've been deplatformed on Facebook, and Twitter is getting very close. So the big tech shutdown is on. If you have an alternate voice or want to share alternate views that do not align with the groupthink, you can call the Capital Voice at 613-791-3989. I'm Guy Annable recording, and we'll be posting this later on Spotify, Google, and Apple, as well as blasttheradio.com provides incredible support. Incredible man, incredible organization. John Milky, the Milkman, I want to thank for all his guidance as well throughout this. And please call in 613-791-3989 if you'd like to talk about the current situation, if you'd like to talk about what you think's going to happen in the United States in the next 5 or 6 days. Do you think we're going to see a clean inauguration that is protected by the American military and the, again, Joseph R. Biden socialist government with the cabal, with Kamala Harris and AOC and group? Please let me know your thoughts. We've got 17 comments. I can only read a couple. Peggy Patterson's in the room. And Peggy, I want to thank you for all your support as well. Call in, Peggy. We'll talk. Anyways, I can only see 4 of the comments. I'm still live from what I can see on my Facebook page. And no commercials today, no throws to break, no ads because my phone's dead. So I did buy a car today. I did negotiate insurance today. I bought a car without actually seeing it, without actually driving it. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, Guy, yeah, you didn't, but I did. And I got to tell you, the salesman did a fantastic job. And I'm going to shout out to Hawkesbury Honda for the incredible job that they did online. My journey started at Auto Trader. It then went to Hawkesbury Honda on a trade-in that they've got. The trade-in is now on my wall, and I got a 2017 Nissan Sentra, 54,000 kilometers, unbelievable for the low price of around $10,000. And the final negotiation in terms included the snow tires. Didn't even meet the salesman. So he called me back. We talked on the phone. Incredibly personable guy, retired 25 years, Delta, works for Honda now. Incredible guy. Christian Denis is his name. I'm sure he won't mind. If you ever want to buy a car, this guy is a credit to the salesman of this industry that is very much maligned. Christian Denis from Hawkesbury Honda. You made my purchase incredibly easy. I hope the car is as good as the service that I received, but I received a Quebec plated insured vehicle this afternoon without leaving my internet connection or my chair. And with the Carfax report that I got and the safety report that I got and the pictures that I saw, I bought it. I bought a car without even driving it, folks. Wow. Welcome to the age of the internet. Welcome to the new normal. But very satisfied with my purchase. And that's my story for the day. Coming up on 29 after the hour, that'll finish the show. And we're going to go out with Jamie Nix and my favorite song of Jamie Nix called Civilian Soldier. I can just play it because unfortunately now that Facebook has got everything changed, we can't add videos. We can't do anything. And I've got to upgrade to either StreamYard or YouTube, or Restream, and pay them money now because Facebook's changing the rules on streaming, folks. If you run OBS or you run any of the other software platforms that feed into and use the Facebook tools for authorizations to post videos on your profile, you will notice some big changes. And again, I am trying to work around some of those changes. But if Facebook wants me off that badly, then they can have it. And obviously, I am not part of the progressive cabal, and they want my speech off. We've got a call coming in from Newfoundland, the great Rock. I think I know who this is. Peter Yetman from Harbor Grace,
Mr. Guy Animal. How the hell are you?
Listen, you got in under the line. I'm glad, because we normally have a half-hour show, but you are on the line. The time is yours. Peter Yetman, a definite patriot from Harbor Grace, Newfoundland, actually a contributor to this show originally on blasttheradio.com. I'm Guy Annable, and this is the Capital Voice. Peter, welcome. Happy New World Order.
Thank you, sir. Happy New World Order to you, too.
Yeah. How's that?
I just wanted to call in and let you know that the writ has been dropped in Newfoundland and Labrador for February the 13th.
For provincial premier?
Yes, sir.
Your premier just stepped down.
Yeah, he was replaced earlier this year, but
wow,
the new guy.
Is that Biggs, right? Is that Biggs? Who's your premier?
He was Dwight Ball.
Now
he's Andrew Fury.
And now Andrew Fury is resigning and calling an election?
No, I'm not 100% sure exactly what's going on here, but I guess they had no choice but call an election because he was only put in place. He wasn't actually voted in, so.
Wow. So the writ has been dropped in Newfoundland. Breaking news here, folks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
6 o'clock tonight, the writ was dropped.
Is that
February
right?
the 13th.
Is that right? Wow.
Yes, sir.
Wow. So
let's see if we go red or blue again this time around.
Well, what do you think with Muskrat Falls and the fucking shit show up there, that goddamn dam that you guys are putting yourself bankrupting the province? What do you think's going to happen?
I think it's going to stay red.
You think it's going to stay red? Yeah.
I think it's going to stay red. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. That's so sad.
I hope people have learned over the last 2 elections now that something has changed. Like I really hope somebody sees something going on here, but we'll see.
Peter,
the time will tell on February 13th.
Well, speaking of time will tell, that's a great segue, Peter, because we've been talking over the last couple of days as we've all been following the rules and being locked down. You in your back shed with a bunch of friends. And that's good. A great thing to see that you are at least being able to socialize out there in a small group, having a couple of beers. That was good to see, But
like in all honesty, Guy, to me, life hasn't changed much for me here on the island. I mean,
that's right. You've been telling me that, and you just it's. What do you think is going to happen in the next 6 or 7 days down south, Peter?
It's going to be very interesting. From what I've been looking at and from what I've been researching on myself, who do you believe anymore? Mm-hmm. It seems like big tech is just attacking anything that's slightly right of center. Like it don't even make sense what they're doing. Well, it do because they're all corrupt anyway, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how this inauguration is going to go. I don't know if it's even going to happen.
So you're you're on the edge too. I'm very anxious, Peter. I'm very worried about what could take place in the next 6 days in American history.
Well, you look at the full aspect of it, there, Guy. It's like you got the Trumpsters saying one thing, we'll say the Trumpsters, the far right, the Republicans, or whatever, saying one thing is going to happen, which would be like Q dropping hints all over the place, and you got. I don't know who believes in all this stuff, but I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen coming from the right and some of the investigation that I've seen, I'm not sure if an inauguration is actually going to happen.
So you've been doing a lot of research. Happen? What do you give good creds and credence to that you've seen with regards to the possibility of Joseph R. Biden not being inaugurated on Wednesday, January 20th?
Well, I guess it depends how the Insurrection Act goes.
Okay, so you feel that enactment by Trump of that 2 years ago from the 1807 Insurrection Act, you think that he will use some covenants of that to install martial law in the next few days?
Something is going to happen, guaranteed.
Okay.
Trump is not going to go quietly.
Peter, you made a very good point. And I said this to another friend that I'm going to have on another night, is Trump is an all-in guy. Trump is not only an all-in guy, but if he goes out, he will pull the pin. He will not go quietly. He will do whatever is in his power to basically regain the United States of America from going to a communist Marxist regime?
I think what's happening here, Trump is doing what he got to do to make this inauguration not to happen. But the reason why we're all so dumbfounded or out of the loop is because big tech is censoring everything, and we do not get the whole story.
No, you're right, and we've seen that. But
we're only getting the story of the left.
Yeah, but the whole thing is even when we go on Facebook and the other platforms that the right has liaised around, we're even getting shut down more. So the information funnel is going to get thinner and stop dripping soon, Peter. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, yes. We're all going to be censored.
It's fucking
we're
scary.
Definitely all going to be censored. So, like, I mean, we're not going to see exactly what's going to be happening. Now, Guy, a question for you. Is this part of the 10 days of darkness we're supposed to be seeing?
Is it part of the Great Reset? Yes. Is it part of the 10 days of darkness? Where are you quoting that from?
The 10 days of darkness.
Yeah.
Well, that's been quoted from a few places, actually.
Okay.
That's been said from a few places that there will be 10 days of darkness. If you, I've been following it now for a couple of years. So
yeah, good. No, I'd like to hear theories. I like to hear how your theories come about, because that's what research and that's what critical thinking does. You assess the available information, hopefully from all sides, all information's available. Again, which it's not, Peter. This is why we're being fed. We're about to go into and do darkness. I totally agree with that statement, that there is a darkness coming, and that darkness has also shrouded the media and shrouded any voice of critical thought. But tell me more about what this 10 days of darkness says.
Well, the 10 days of darkness, well, to me, now, I don't quote me on this, but to me, the 10 days of darkness is already occurring because we're getting blacked out by the media.
Yeah.
We're getting blacked out by social media, especially.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know the censorship you're going through right now, and I've gone through it.
Yes, sir.
I got a rap sheet on Facebook as long as my arm, man. Like, I mean, I've done 730 days for having an opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I think this is all a part of this darkness that people are talking about. This 10 days of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, Q drop. I'm not sure about these Q drops that I'm reading, but there's a lot of people that are very following Q quite closely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know where Q was coming from, or if it's legit, or if it's just somebody spewing garbage out their mouths on a platform. I'm not sure exactly where Q was coming from, but it seems like they're dropping a lot of information that's actually happening, that's actually coming true. You know what I mean? Hints.
Yeah, the hints are there, and the reality is going to set in. Not always, not myself, not a huge Q follower at all. I do see some posts, but
me either. I'm not a huge Q follower.
What's going to happen in the next 5 or 6 days? From what I'm hearing from some very people that I respect, and I'm looking at the whole scenario myself, is Donald Trump will not go quietly. You said
I don't think it's going to go quiet, because if you read into the Insurrection Act and all this stuff, apparently he can give control to the National Guard, and he will maintain. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You know more about this than I do.
No.
Will he not maintain his presidency until everything is figured out?
But the alternate side of that is, if that happens, and if Joseph R. Biden is not on the inauguration podium, either virtually or there on the 20th, Democratic cities will start to burn, because the left will go crazy.
Oh yeah. They destroy themselves. I mean, that's just how it is. And
man, there's no positive end to this.
But do you see? Like, I mean, we all investigated what happened with the Capitol there, and the people rioting and
proven Antifa, exactly why we were wiped from Facebook. We had it proof. Right. We had it proven that it was Antifa. Now there's 5 members that are proven in the main gang that possess Capitol Voice: John Sullivan, Jake Gelito, the other guys, the guy with the horns, the guy from Michigan, the guy who worked for a car manufacturing company. The guy from Philly who was confirmed with the mask are all Antifa people. And we are not hearing any of this in the mainstream media. And you know what? Even to Fox, shame on Fox, because they're tippy-toeing around it too. They came out with the John Sullivan thing last night, but there's a whole bunch more that Fox could be doing to link these 5 faces that have been identified to the groups that they adhere to, which is Antifa. So we proved it, and that's why we got deplatformed.
Yes, we did get deplatformed. But also, the guy with the horns.
Yeah.
He's questionable Antifa, because I read somewhere, some article, I have to go research back again now. But I read that some of these guys were actually Marines in the U.S. military, undercover, investigating Antifa?
Not Jake Gelenti. He's a known anarchist, known climate thing. He was at the BLM protests. I had the 2 guys with the vests and the other guy who entered the Capitol Hill on the side window. They were the ones that were basically possibly ex-Marines or people working within the organization. Again, anybody can be infiltrated, but we all know.
But I'll tell you
that we all know there was a meeting at a Philadelphia hotel, which is close to Washington,
right?
In which there was over 100 people involved in that meeting, and that was 4 days before Capitol Hill. And we know that Michael Voss was at that meeting because he was one of the people who booked the room, and he was at the Philadelphia Hilton or one of the 2. So that's the information we've got now. We've got everything.
This Voss guy,
Michael Voss. Everything leads to Michael Voss, who is the husband of Stephanie Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's daughter, and that's the extent that I think Fox should be reporting to. Why isn't Fox? And I'm going to call the buggers. Why isn't Fox talking about the Michael Voss connection? Why isn't Fox telling?
They're all left. To me, Fox News is all left now, just like the rest of them.
I don't say that. Don't say that. There's got to be somebody left, Peter. Peter, there's got to be somebody left telling us the truth.
I don't think.
What is the truth?
Not on mainstream media. There's not. Yeah. You're going to have to start watching alternative media sources, because I mean.
Yeah, but what alternative media sources?
Even down here, I mean, we watch CBC here in Newfoundland. We watch CTV. We watch Global News, and we watch NTV, which is Newfoundland television.
Yeah, I can't watch it.
And you know what? They're all carrying the same narrative. Yeah, you can watch whatever news station you want.
Yeah,
and it's all Trump bad.
I've tried to turn it off, Peter, but I do watch the national news and the same 3 news programs that
like they're still even after
same 3 stories, almost the same 3 words. It's unfucking believable what's happening in the world right now. And and again, credit to Benito Mussolini. To get the people to believe, you have to own the media. Marshall McLuhan, same thing. And now we're at a state in the United States and Canada where our dictators own the media.
Yes.
Welcome to the New World Order.
This is why. Happy New World Order. This is why I say Newfoundland will stay liberal, because that's all you hear on TV.
That's all you know. That's what they know. Yeah.
Liberal.
Yeah. Stay with the devil you know instead of the devil you don't. But it's all about.
Well, that's it. As far as I'm concerned, they're all painted with the one brush.
Exactly. No, I agree now, Peter, too. As I get older, I get more jaded about the whole thing anyways. It's all about power and control, just the ability to tax and the ability to
PC to me is just a liberal light, as far as I'm concerned.
No, 100%. They all bow to the same people.
Exactly. I mean, look at Harper. Yeah. Harper signs on to this wonderful UN deal.
Yeah.
You know that was the PC leader of Canada.
Yeah.
That did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I am looking forward to seeing what's going to happen on the 20th. And,
in closing, Peter Yetman, in closing, what do you think about the 20th, Peter? And give us your crystal ball on what do you think's going to happen next week. Give us your 2 cents on closing.
I honestly don't see how the inauguration is actually going to take place.
Okay.
If everything coming out on independent media sources and researchers from down in the USA that are putting stuff out there. If it's going to be true what Trump has planned, there is no way an inauguration can take place. All you had to do was listen to Trump's speeches.
Yes.
The key words are in his
Calm
speeches.
before the storm.
Right?
Yeah.
The key words are in his speeches.
Yeah, I agree, Peter.
He will peacefully transition. He didn't say he was going to concede.
Nope. Peter C. Yetman, another patriot, another point of view. Harbor, Grace, Newfoundland. I've seen the pictures, and one day I'm going to step foot out there, Peter. I'm going to come see you and Gail, and I will be out to see you. I promise that.
I hold you to that.
All right, lad. You have a great day. Thanks for calling in. This is the Capital Voice coming up on 46 after the hour. Peter, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Coming up on 46 after the hour, I'm Guy Annable on the Capital Voice, broadcasting on blasttheradio.com, on YouTube at the Capital Voice, on Restream at the Capital Voice, and soon to be off of Facebook. And we are basically taking your calls at 613-791-3989. Coming up just before 6 o'clock, before the fake news comes on, and we can see how the little man behind the curtain has turned the dials up or down on the case counts on a PCR test, which involved after 40 cycles, has over a 60% positive rate, false positive rate. Again, folks, you're listening to the Capital Voice based in Ottawa, Canada. I am going to take you into 6 o'clock. And any more calls that are coming in, please give us a call now. It's 613-791-3989. If not, I'll just close off the show and we'll call it a day. Want to thank anybody who has watched this show as well. And we will hopefully talk in the next little while. It's going to be a very interesting 5 days. We've got two perspectives today. We heard one from Beth from Ambram and Peter Yetman from Harbor, Grace, Newfoundland with regards to what will happen in the next 5 or 6 days. Will Donald Trump pull the trigger on the Insurrection Act, and will military law be put in place, or will there be a smooth transition to a peaceful government under Joseph R. Biden, who was election was fraught with accusations of massive voter in mail-in fraud. And again, shoved under the carpet. We'll never know for sure. Part of American history and part of this pandemic that we're all basically living through, folks. And as I say, coming up with your calls, if you want to call in now, it's 613-791-3989. And I'm going to try and keep it real over the next few months since we're locked down. A lot of us have a lot of time. A lot of people are turning the mainstream media off. A lot of people are turning their TVs off when it comes to being part of this military psychological operation that is being befelled on all of us. And I'm hoping that more people turn to social media and more people look for answers like Beth and like people who've been at it for years. Beth, God love her. And God love you folks for holding on and knowing what is coming and how we will basically be better once we throw the communists and the what's going to happen, folks. I'm very, very, very concerned. Anyways, that's it for me. I'm going to go out with Jamie Nix and Civilian Soldiers. He's been a great mentor of mine, and Jamie is a dear friend who we have a lot of personal ties to, and his lovely girlfriend as well. I want to wish them both today, and this is a song about you. It's a song about me. It's a song about everybody. And Jamie Nix, Civilian Soldiers, folks, close the show for Friday, January the 15th. Keeping us all up night, Jamie.
You ask me why I stand up and fight.
Do it for love, do it for freedom. Without that love, life that has no meaning. All my sisters, for my brothers, working men and all the single mothers, for a country that hasn't gotten colder. It's time to be a little more of us, civilian soldiers. Yeah, sing it, Jamie. Jamie Nix, civilian soldiers. There needs to be a lot more of us, folks. To a higher power, keep us strong in our darkest hour. Gotta do it, folks. So try for all the guilty ones, justice will prevail. Is it gonna happen? They might think we're all half asleep, following their trail of deceit. That's why we fight to keep our freedom, freedom, freedom. Do it for love, do it for freedom. Without them, life has no reason. For my sisters, for my brothers, working men and all the single mothers. Civilian soldiers. Civilian soldiers. Yeah, sing it, Jamie. Thanks for listening again to the Capital Voice. I'm Guy Annable, and this is on blasttheradio.com. Tune in Monday to Friday, 3 p.m. United we roll into freedom. Freedom, 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 freedom. Love that song. You know, it's easy to get into communism, but you got to shoot your way out of it. Don't forget that, folks. I'm Guy Annable, Capital Voice.